Hello, everyone. This is Stephen McNallen with another episode of Gods, Folk, and Destiny. Whose gods? Our gods and goddesses, holy powers of the north, led by Odin and by Frigga. Whose folk? Our folk, born of ancient Hyperborea, now spanning the globe with our eyes on the stars. Whose destiny? Our destiny, which we will make by hard work and mighty deeds, honor, sovereignty, well-being, and the existence of our people forever. So shall it be. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a very special guest tonight. I knew a lot of you knew this was coming at us. Ron McVan. Ron is one of the pioneers of this movement that we variously call Asatru / Odinism / heathenism / Wotanism. He's the author of Creed of Iron, of Temple of Wotan, and I in the Well of Mimir. He's what we would call an OG. Now, in some circles, OG means original gangsta, but we don't do gangsta talk around here. So what this is simply old Gothy. So before I jump in here with Ron, I want to remind you, if you like what we do, support our work by first of all going to Raffenfolk channel and subscribing to that. Like this video, comment on this video, share this around and tell other people, because we need more people coming here. This is not a hobby for me. This is not a pastime. This is not something I do because I'm bored. This is one of the tools I need to change the world. And that is my goal. I will not live a normal life. There are things I want to accomplish. And what we do here in this podcast, as humble as it seems sometimes, is a foot in the door. It's a beginning of something much larger, much grander, and you are an important part of it. So with no further ado, Ron McVan, hello.
How are you, Steve?
I'm doing well, Ron.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since we've seen each other.
I know. Yeah, it's been too long.
Talked on the phone a couple of times, but it's been years, man.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get together here soon. Yeah.
I would like that. Now, some years back, you came down here and had Yule with us, as I recall.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what year that was. It was
early 2000s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, 2004, something like that.
Well, look, I'm really glad to have you on here. Everybody knows you as an author, but you're so much than that. You know, you're an artist, you're a musician, you're a philosopher, and you're a man with a lot of very unique and very interesting perceptions. And hopefully tonight we can kind of get into all of that, talk about your interest in philosophy and the esoteric and everything else. But let's kind of start with, first things first. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? You know, what brought you to this thing that we do, and what was it that attracted you to it, and how did it all get started for you? Just in your own words.
Yeah, I've always had a sense of heritage. Being born in Philadelphia, there's a lot of history there, and I grew up going to my mother would take me, and a lot of kids in the neighborhood, to Independence Hall and Valley Forge and Alfred's Alley and Betsy Ross's house, and just all over. And that really sunk in at an early age. And from there, there, of course, back in the early 60s, there wasn't much talk about Wotanism. There was a movie of the Vikings, and you had read the book of that and everything. And it wasn't really clear to us, and I was searching. I was always been spiritual, but I've always been searching. And then I wasn't sure. I hadn't heard, fortunately, when you and Elsie started putting stuff out in the early 70s, then it started to formulate. And that was really a big step forward, here in America. Having access to that literature. Then it started to take shape, and through the 80s, I was hearing about it a lot. I've been, without officially pronouncing, I mean, I've been a white nationalist most of my life, mostly just by nature. I mean, I was always been about heritage and cared about our folk and everything. But I didn't know about Odinism till later down the road. And so, there were certain things that I would try out. I tried to, and I did a lot of comparative religion searching and everything. I couldn't find what I was looking for. So I just kind of put it on the back burner for a while. And then I just, I worked with a lot of people that, the nationalists at the time. They've kind of made nationalists a dirty word. It wasn't a dirty word. Should never be a dirty word to be concerned about your people and your folk. And really, if you get right down to it, every race on the planet just seems is nationalist. Japanese or national, Chinese, the Jewish people, the Africans, everybody's nationalist, but for some reason, we can't be. Nationalist is a dirty word for us, but it took a while till I guess I'm trying to think of the key. I guess David. Let's see. Well, let's see. It was about early. Well, you remember Elton Hall, right? Elton Hall.
Yes.
Yeah, and he had been in Odinism for a long time. He was kind of my mentor. I met him in Olympia. He came and we met at the Denny's, and he had quite a background as a nationalist, but he was deep into Odinism. He was a friend of LC, and he knew you. I guess he knew you before he met me, and he was telling me about Odinism, and he was showing me his wood carvings of Viking stuff. I thought, boy, this fits me really well, because I need something to express, through my art, and put all my talents. Because I had tried earlier in my life to take paintings to galleries, and it's so political that it's just a turnoff. People aren't into art for beauty. It's all political. And I got, after about 15 years of traveling around America, exhibiting in galleries and stuff like that, I just burned out. And when I met Elton, that was at a key time. I think that's what really started it, And so he was, we were talking about it and everything, and then he invited me to a gathering where you attended, and in Portland, Reinhold had Clinton had a kindred down there, and it was the closest kindred to where we and Elton and I lived in Olympia. So Portland is about 125 miles, but not that far away. And so we started to, after our first get together, and the one that you attended, then we started building the kindred, And so, and then you attended a few more with us, and I was really. I really appreciate what you were doing with your room workshops, and you added a lot to it, And we were breaking a lot of new ground as a kindred in those days. We were trying out new things, having opera singers. I think when you were one of them there, we had an opera singer singing while we were doing sword dances and everything like that, And then
yes,
yeah, you remember that,
most people will never understand how theatrical a lot of that was. Right. Remember, we had the opera singer, and she sang Wagner as the ship burned on the pond, and I mean, Reinhold really kind of went in pretty big on that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it was always very interesting. I don't know if you
remember it, that I think the gods were with us on that one, because when we did the sword dance and we crossed the swords, and the sky was just perfect. It was like a stormy sky, and everything worked. I wish we had better recording equipment. Now they have better cameras now. We were fumbling around with these big giant VCRs and all that. But so that was a memorial time. And yeah, we tried other things. I can't recall, but our thing was to have more than just a bloat ensemble, but to actually put a drama in with it and um, make it something more special. I remember one time we had some Scottish music, like bagpipe music, playing at one of the gatherings, and the gal was out there, on the porch when we were everybody was in the house taking a break, and she had tears in her eyes. That she said she had I guess, kind of an awakening right there with the bagpipes and the low fog. There was always fog there in Oregon and Seattle. I mean Washington, and it was just a magical night, and it kind of hit her. That's how it creeps up on you, when your ancestral blood starts to stir. Certain things like that really open it up. And so that's always, and you know how it is in the symbols. People they start to reveal things that they never talked about with anyone else. They feel comfortable to talk about those things. So it can get pretty emotional, and it's good. It's all good. And then Reinhold, he later put in a stone circle. I don't know if you saw that. Were you there when they had the stone circle?
Yes, yeah. I did see that.
Now he's in Maryland, and he's got another large circle, and these are huge stones. I mean, 16-foot high, 6-foot girth, or whatever. It's very. It gives you chills when you have those standing stones and a fire at night, and you go out with torches and stuff like that. It's wonderful. It's just, and so that was. That's the one thing I really liked about the whole process, is that it leaves so much open for I don't know, just a magic there that's there, that you can't get anywhere else. It hits you, and you're with good people, and I just had a kinsman, Brett Butts, and a bunch of other kinsmen that came up, about 10 of them, and they all came up and helped me. I was having problems with my roof, and I couldn't afford to have it fixed, and they all just put together, and they came up and they fixed my roof, paid for it, and worked all day. They came a long distance, from Utah.
Now this was just recently, right?
Yeah, recently, yeah. And I thought, boy, this is what it, when we help each other like that, when we're, because I was having water like in this room where it was coming down from the sheetrock, was getting soggy and everything. So, but are your vision's looking out this way and I'm looking this way? Is I don't know how it looks from your end. But.
No, I don't know. It's all good. Okay. I mean, I've got you right there where you need to be. It's all cool.
Yeah. But
So about when was it that you wrote Creed of Iron?
Oh, it was about, what was it? 1998, I want to say, or no, maybe earlier. I can't recall offhand. Because Temple of Wotan came out just before 2000, and
okay.
Yeah, I had I had sent a lot of those Creed of Irons out to people that I thought might be interested at the time, that and some of my early mentors. I don't know about you, but when I grew up in the 50s, the Hercules movies were a big. I mean, that was awesome for a child, to see Steve Reeves up there pushing columns down. I sent him a Creed of Iron. I sent, I don't know, just a bunch of people. I can't remember his name, but I sent out a bunch of them, and the one to a lot of Hollywood actors too that I thought were had a consciousness about their folk, and the most gracious was Charlton Heston. He wrote back. We got into a letter writing. I made him a beautiful silver hammer. He said he had his the Temple of Wotan on his desk, at all times, and that was an honor. I mean, when I first wrote to him, I didn't even know how to write to him. It was just, he was awesome, and but he like I tell a lot of people, he did a movie called Warlord. I'm sure you've seen it. That Warlord, did you see that in '65? Yeah, that was a wonderful movie. And so yeah, that it's a shame he contacted that or he came down with that Alzheimer's at the end. So it was a shame because he had a great mind. The guy was really something special. And so, but yeah, getting back to the camaraderie, that's a big thing. Our people, they look out for each other. I mean, if they can help you, they will. If you got a good kindred, I see that your also two kindreds are doing like food, distributing food in the neighborhoods and stuff like that. That's like a food bank. Is that what it's
Yes,
going on?
yeah. We do that once a month out of the Hoff in Brownsville, and it's run through a larger network of agencies that pass all that stuff out. And they asked all the other churches in town if they would do it, and they all said no, we don't want to do that. And they asked us, and we said sure, we'll do it. And it's blast, you kind of get to see the other side a little bit. It's easy to look down on people that are in need, and I think that's what we get through, because I think that the Hoffamal would urge us to take another look at the humble and lowly, because you don't really know their story, and you haven't lived in their shoes. So I think it's one of the best things we do.
Yeah. I had times when I was traveling around the country. I had a route. I would go down with my artwork. I went down the West Coast. I would go to San Francisco, down to Las Vegas, down to or do LA and then Las Vegas, and go over to Albuquerque, down to New Orleans, over to St. Petersburg, and then up the East Coast. And I followed the weather going around, and I had a lot of experiences out on the road, but there were times when I just went flat broke. It happens when you're in a strange town, you don't know anybody, you stuck, and fortunately I was able to get out of it, but it's difficult. I wouldn't even want to do that traveling now. It's a whole different ball game out there now with yeah.
So you've been doing your artwork for a long time before you got interested in Odinism or Wotanism or anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave, could we see some samples of Ron's work? I don't know quite how that works on your end. See if he's. Yeah, and if maybe we can bring those up one at a time, and Ron can just tell us a little bit about what they are. Maybe would that work? Okay. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. I don't guess I'm supposed to be able to see that, right? Because I don't. But okay, good enough.
Yeah.
I trust you.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your portrait work. You've done a lot of stuff in oils.
Yeah, I enjoy doing portraits, historical portraits, and of people that I admired in history. I've done Shakespeare, Nikola Tesla, Sam Houston, on and on. I really like that the most. I think because it serves two ends. I mean, you're getting to work at your painting skill, but also you're doing something that's in honor of these people. Honoring these people. So yeah, the Frank Lloyd Wright. I did a number of paintings when I was in Las Vegas. A friend of mine owned the House of Fine Arts on Las Vegas Boulevard. Well, he shut down his business around 1985. But so we actually went to work for. He and I worked for Richard Harrison at that's on the Pawn Stars show. Back then, it was just Richard and his wife and I and Zem, a painting friend there, and then there was a big biker guy who did the jewelry work there, and that was it. That was pretty much the whole thing. He had a shop on Fremont Street at the time, and there was a lot of experiences there. But he let us set up our easels in his shop, you know, because it helped draw in customers and everything like that. So I did a lot of paintings in his shop right there, you know, and so that was a big slice of life right there, you know, the whole Vegas experience, you know. I've sold paintings to Ann Miller bought one of my paintings down in Florida, which came in with Mickey Rooney to the gallery, and they bought a painting of mine. You get to meet interesting people around the country, and that gave me a good feel of America, you know, all around. I got a pretty good. I traveled every state except probably Maine. I guess Maine. I never went up to Maine, but yeah, you know, I got a good feel of the country and what was going on, and meeting people. You know, that's. I love to meet people, and I love it when they come by to visit here. I had a great time with Brett and all the gang when they came up and did the roof. You know, I mean that was a wonderful time. You know, and everybody that comes up, we always have a good time. You know, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Say again. What do you have? Which carving? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that one, Ron.
Yeah, that one we used to use for our Freyfaxi gatherings. In the ancient days, you know, our ancestors used to have horse fights, and of course we don't do that now. It's inhumane to harm. You know, it'd be like dogs fighting. You know, nobody wants to see that.
Right.
So I mean, we do it with mock horses, and those horses come out of the holder, and what we do is we have a bonfire going, and we do a mock battle with Freyfaxi, which is the golden one, and then the darker one is fighting. It's kind of a battle between light and dark, you know, of energies and stuff. So it's very dramatic. I don't know. I would really recommend that for people if they want to really bring a highlight to the Freyfaxi gathering to do that. You know, they're easy to make. It's just a 2x6 board, and I drilled 1/4-inch holes and took a brush from a scrub brush and put like these bundles of hair in each one of the holes that are made of mane, you know, stuff like that. And it's really effective, you know, when it's dark at night and everybody's around the campfire, you know. So
that's part of the sacred ritual kind of thing that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And bloat and stumble, you know, you have sacred drama, basically symbolically reenacting the different events, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool.
So, yeah. I mean, if somebody had the time, I don't have the time now, but if somebody had the time to make those, he could probably. There's a lot of people would like to purchase those for their kindred, you know.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But, yeah. So that's what that's all about, anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dave, what else we got? Right. Yeah, your portable Hoff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made that. That was a prototype. I was thinking about mass producing, and when I had Wotan's folk, and we were making all kinds of things: drinking horns, rune staves, chaps for your arms. I mean, you name it. We were just on the verge of starting or doing a color catalog of all this stuff. That would have been fantastic, but we had to break up at that time. But yeah, the thing was that if you look at that altar, it would take a lot of hours to make one of those by hand, you know, and you'd have to charge too much. And I just figured if you try to make it out of plywood and make a real quick version of it, it's not quite the same. Because the oak wood and the ash wood, that's all spiritual, you know, that I would sooner have I know for myself, I wouldn't feel right with plywood, you know, and just I don't know. I know in the battlefields, guys use plywood, but they can take a lot of punishment, you know. That's one thing good about plywood. But yeah, I just saved that one for my own use. I have it set up here in the room right here, and it was a joy making it, you know. It was just, you get my idea was like if somebody's traveling, say if you guys were having a gathering And if I were coming down, I could. That all closes up into one little pack, and I can carry it with me on the plane. I could come down, set it up as a backdrop, and we could do a ceremony right in front of that. You know, I mean, it's real handy that way because you got everything in there that you need. And yeah, so it's another thing. I hope some of the younger folk of our kindreds and stuff, they will, you know, start putting their heads together, thinking what they can create for their kindreds. You know, for these things come by necessity. I mean, just a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I like this one, but I don't think to make another one, it just take too long. You know, just too long.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right, Dave, what you got for us next? Okay, I guess this is a good time to talk about your books. So Temple of Wotan was actually first. Is that correct?
No, the Creed of Iron.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah, Creed of Iron, and then Temple of Wotan, and I want to apologize since we're on the air right now. I want to tell everybody that I don't have control over that Temple of Wotan anymore. I tried to get Amazon to realize that I'm the author of that book and I have the official copyrights to it from Washington D.C. and everything, but they just would not negotiate with me. And they said, you know, well, talk to Create Space, who's their printer. I talked to them. They said, no, it's not us. It's Amazon. So they were bouncing me back and forth. And the thing is, there's scalpers out there that are charging $300 per copy. It's crazy. And even $80 per copy is way too much. It should be selling at $35. That's what I'd be selling it for. But I know a lot of people are wondering, you know, why it's so expensive. Well, that's the reason. You know, if I had control over that, it wouldn't be that high. And I don't get any royalties off that one. You know, and
it'd be really great if somebody who's listening to this would be in a position to help unravel that. I mean, it seems to me that what you need is a lawyer, you know.
Yeah, that's what I figured it was coming to, you know, a lawyer, hiring a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard when you're on fixed income. It's, you know, it's,
right.
Yeah. So, but
I think that's one thing that I know you don't like to brag. You know, you're really a very modest man, but I think that most people do not realize that your whole life has had this spiritual orientation. That has been your motivation. It has not been making money, except what you need to get by. You're not at all a materialist oriented.
No, it's the nature of what I do forces me to be a little bit material, because when I do my music, I have to have my equipment. So I got all this musical equipment, and then when I have to have my shop to make the stuff in, so I have all these tools and stuff, and then I have to have research for when I write books. So I got books everywhere. You know, it's almost getting comical now. I got them under the beds. I mean, I open a door and books fall out. You know, I'm out of room. You know, but I just love books. Once you get addicted to books, I've been collecting them since the late '60s. You know, so it's
oh God, Ron, I got stories to tell about that, because it's the same way around here. You know, if you just kind of casually walk into our living room, you'll see there's a whole lot of books on shelves. But what you won't see is that on the just beyond the end of the sofa, nobody can see it. There's another stack like this, and I don't want to put them away in storage where the cat wants to hide, because I need them. You know, I'm it's kind of my active ones. You know,
Yeah,
that's the way it is when you love books.
Yeah, it is. Yep. I still go out. I mean, I'm constantly going out to secondhand stores and bookshops. I can't stop the thirst for it. You know, and there's just and I loved. A lot of the books on the ancient mysteries are very pricey now. You know, in the early days, they didn't cost that much, but now it's very expensive. Any books by Manly P. Hall, you're going to pay a heavy price on that.
Right.
And
right.
I just recently got one called The Temple of Man, at a used store for 75. It was a big, gigantic. In fact, here, if you can see that. Can you see this, Steve? Can you see this from where you're looking?
Yeah, you can hold it back a little farther. I mean, I can make out the title.
Yeah, Temple of Man. It's by Schwaller de Lubitz. He's a Egyptian scholar, but it's more than just Egyptian history. It's got just the philosophy and everything in here. It's 2 gigantic books, and I got it for 75. I knew it was a lot less than what it'd be new. I looked it up on the internet. It's $250 new, you know. So, but for me, it was what I couldn't leave the store when I saw this. I had to get it. I mean, there's some books you just cannot walk by, you know. And
yeah,
I remember
let's
reading.
See what that was.
Pardon?
I was going to say, let's see what else Dave has for us right now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, that's good. Okay, so yeah, I was looking through. Let me go get my copy. Stand by.
Okay.
Off for just a second. I got the copy of I and the Well of Mimir that you said, and I've read at it. I haven't read the whole thing by any means, but this is the last one that you published.
Yeah.
And thumbing through here, I mean, I won't even try to get into the theme of it. It's just you know, it's its own unique thing. But I am struck by all the people that you cite. You know, using fair use clauses. And there's a wealth of material in here. You quote everyone from Miguel Serrano to all some of the poets that we all get, Emerson, and so ones like that in school, and Manly P. Hall, and you name them, they're all in here. And it's just it's a trip.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I had fun doing that one, and it leaves you some freedom because it doesn't have to be all by the book and historical. There's room for some fantasy in there, but the main thing of that whole book is to there's a theme behind it all. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge in there. It's not just a novel, and it's to bring people to the conscious awareness of where we are today. I mean, we're in the 12th hour of everything. I mean, take away even our racial play. I mean, fighting for our survival, that's one bad enough, but I mean, the whole world is better. You take a look at the new crew of youth that are coming in that are going to be filling the shoes in government soon. It's scary, that kids don't know a lot today. There's a lot of these colleges and universities are just not educating properly, and they're trying to make protesters out of these kids and use them for political tools, and they should be. They're not getting good knowledge, and I don't see how. Well, you were a teacher, so what's your feeling on that, Steve? As a teacher,
it's been years since I was a teacher, and I was a teacher in junior high school, and back then, 20 some years ago, it was not that bad at that level. I could teach okay, and I did what I could. I taught science and mathematics. It's kind of hard to screw up mathematics. Science was fun because we shot a lot of rockets because I liked shooting rockets. I did things that I would be instantly fired for doing today. I have push-up contests with my kids and stuff like that. There was one kid that could beat me. Everybody else I had done. But we would just, I tried to give them a good time. At one point, I ended the day's session by, it was kind of a down day. So I taught them the jump commands for a mass jump to exit a C-130 aircraft. And when the bell rang, they all exited, using the procedure. I mean, it was kind of crazy. But I did teach some science. I really did.
Oh, yeah. I really like, I look back in, my youth, I didn't have really impassioned teachers, and that kind of made it boring. And I spent a lot of time daydreaming and getting a little maybe a crack on the hand with a ruler to wake up. I would be gazing outside the window. But I had one teacher in elementary school, I think it was the 8th grade. He was an English teacher, and in Philly we had a lot of dance shows. I mean, there was bandstand, there was all this. There was a guy there called Jerry Blavitt, and he called himself the Geeter with the Heater. And everybody, you ask anybody in Philly, they know who the Geeter with the Heater is. Anyway, this teacher I had, we had an assembly one time, and he was up there all fired up. He said, "You heard about the Geeter with the Heater?" He says, "I'm the learner with the burner," like that. And I thought, this guy, he when you went in his class, you could not put your eyes down, or he kept you, made sure everybody had his eyes on him and listening. You better be listening, And at first I thought, this is kind of strict, but I thought, no, this he's here for the right. He's teaching everybody. I mean, he's really putting his passion into it. It's just, so it sticks out in your mind when you get a teacher like that, And I look back at that, and those are little things that got me started on the knowledge quest of learning. And I had an uncle also who was he was quite a guy. I mean, the guy was very unique. I mean, he looked like Earl Flynn, and he'd been in all the ports of the world, and he would tell me about, he'd show me his library all the time, and he would always give me books and stuff. And he taught me he was the first one to really teach me about world politics. I mean, back in the 60s, and I was just enjoying the American dream back then, muscle cars and all that stuff. And here he was telling me stuff I had never heard, and so he was always trying to help me, push me along. When he knew I was I won a art contest in 1964. It was citywide. It was a big deal. They had it all on display downtown in these banks, and I did a watercolor of the housing project I lived in, and that was my really start into taking art seriously as that's my vocation.
Right.
But he, knowing that I liked art, he bought me a beautiful wooden box full of oil paints and everything, and he was always there to help me. He took me up to see Wagner's Ring and everything, and that was quite an experience. In Seattle, they did the whole Ring thing. It was several days you had to go, and that fascinated me. And so he was a big influence on my early learning, because school did nothing for me. At the schools back then, I just was waiting for the bell to ring to get out. But it's not because I had a thirst for knowledge, but I wasn't getting the stimulation. So, yeah.
What do you think that we as adults, some of us being quite older adults, and for that matter, our younger comrades here, what can we do to inspire others around us? What sort of things do you think would reach people, move people, help them to strive to something a little bit higher? You got any insight? You got a lot of just living life. You've done all sorts of things. So.
We got a great advantage with our kindreds. I mean, that's the perfect place to unravel, and get them started, because I don't know where they would get it in the mainstream. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to find. So I think that's our greatest advantage right now, is to certainly try to homeschool. I know it's not easy for everybody to homeschool because they got their jobs, stuff like that. But if you let them go to, it's almost criminal to let your kid go into the mainstream schools now. They're going to pollute their brains and poison their thinking, and they'd be better off not going to school at all. I mean, it's just learn at home. But I think we have a tremendous advantage with our kindreds, because how our people bring their young children with them, and they get to know about the ethnic gods of our folk and everything, and they take to it. They love it, And so, right. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it doesn't matter what age you are. It hits you, everybody the same. It's fascinating. And so, yeah, I would say that would be. I mean, here, I don't, at this time in my life, it's hard for me. I don't really have the time. I have to make a choice. Like if I want to start a kindred, I can do that. Okay. But then I wouldn't have time to write books. And I think I can reach more people with books than I can with a private kindred, because, but for other people, they can have huge kindreds and they can branch out and then with the video access to YouTube now, they can videotape their gatherings. I mean, that's something I'd like to see more of, is our kindreds taking more time to dramatize everything, have some good music there. Live music's always best, you know. I mean, but you know, regular. You can play music, DVDs or whatever, if you have a good sound system, and that works. I love I don't know. I'm sure you've listened to High Lung. I love their music and what they're doing with this kind of a primal Eurotribe sound, and that's exciting. That's a new direction.
There's actually quite a lot of music like that out there these days. You know?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it's growing. Yeah, and you can copy it, download it, and use it for your own, kindreds. So that's good for that. And yeah, so when Brett was up here with the roofing crew, I don't know if you saw him. If you have a chance, check on YouTube. We did a poetry circle, and we also did a High Lung type of rune chant. And it was off the cuff, but it turned out okay. It was good. So yeah. I mean, it's endless. What the things we can do.
So just to go back to your books for just a second, which one did you most like writing? What was your favorite one?
I guess Temple of Wotan would have to be that's the granddaddy right there. I think that'll still be helping people for years now. Excuse me. It certainly helped. I had a prison outreach for 20 years, so a lot of prisoners got their kindreds together there with that book. I mean, that book was essential for them to do that. And so, yeah, that book's got a life of its own. I only wish I could do something about getting that price down for everybody, because it's just too much to be paying. But this new book, I Am the Will of Mimer, that's the first novel I've ever done. But it reads, if you've read into it, it reads more like prose. I guess it's more like, and there's a lot of dialogue in there of exchanging knowledge with the characters, and so I really recommend. I mean that every kindred at least give it a shot, and it's getting good ratings. Are people? I haven't heard anything bad said about it. It's there's something there for everybody to learn from. But yeah.
So when are you going to write another one?
Well, I set that book up for a book two that will follow that up. The main character realizes that he's the chosen leader to hopefully bring the world out of the morass it's in, and so on the second book he'll come back in. He left that the Hollow Earth where he was talking with his intelligent beings down there, and they let him know what his purpose was in life, and now he's out. Now this next book he will unravel that part of how he's going to do what he's going to do, and to take it on. It's very close to reality. It's very up to date with today. I don't know if you've been following. There's been a lot of mystic. I don't know what you call it. Mystery surrounding Antarctica. There's a number of things down there. I mean, you got the Hollow Earth thing. They say there's lots of UFO activity down there. There's lots of wealth or resources down there. Gold, silver, under that ice. And they say now lost civilizations are also as the ice melts, it's going to reveal more of that. Because at one time Antarctica was full of trees and it was like a regular forest, But So it's exciting. It's exciting times to live. I've heard you say that too, and I agree. It's very stimulating to be at this time in history. It's sad to watch our people every day be the onslaught against our people and culture every day. That's hard to bear when the media is controlled, the news, everything is working against us. So we anything we can do to bring back the roots. And I think I remember years ago I was reading through a Celtic book, and it said in there, "Go to your roots." That just hit me between the eyes. That just I thought, yeah, that's what it's about. You take away the roots, the people forget their culture, they forget their heritage. And so it's our duty really to make sure that doesn't happen.
I don't know about you, but I know that, and to a lot of our listeners, this is going to sound like two old geezers talking, which actually is the truth. At this point in my life, I'm counting, how many good years do I have left?
Right. Yeah.
I want to know, what can I do that will have the most benefit for my people in the years I've got left? And is that kind of going through your head too?
Exactly. I wake up with that in my head every morning. There's not a morning I don't think of that. I think, okay, a full day today, and at the end of the day, I have to ask myself, what did I get done today? Did I do anything worthwhile that for the interest of this whole? It is about. I hope it doesn't come to reality that this country splits apart in civil war again. That would be terrible. I mean, it was bad. That first one was bad enough. That's families fighting their own families, and like I was talking to you a while back, the North was just as complicit with slavery as the South. The South. They always say, "Oh, the Souths were into slavery and all that." But they were selling their cotton in the North, and the North wanted it for as cheap as they could get it. So they were all complicit in it. They were promoting slavery just as much as the South. So, and the Civil War really wasn't really about that, as you know. It's there were a lot of other factors. The Rothschilds families financed both sides, North and South, and they were making money with bankers, like most wars. But I would really hate to see a civil war in this country, and I thought things would gradually, everybody would kind of graduate up a few notches and get away from this divide we have. But it doesn't look like that way. It looks like it's going the other way.
Well, I've given this a lot of thought. Just my own perceptions. Obviously, I've been doing this sort of thing for a very long time. I mean, even 20 some years ago, I was heading up a group out of the Bay Area called the European American Issues Forum, and immigration was our big concern, and we all had this impression that the danger was way down the road, down the road, because hey, people like us are going to be a majority till into the 2040s at least, according to projections. But I've been watching a lot of stuff recently that says that's not really the point. The point is, where is that concentrated, in what states, and how will that affect the electoral situation? The So, not to get too deviated off into politics. So let me back up a bit. But basically, I just want to agree with you that yes, a civil war would be not just a national disaster; it would be a civilizational disaster. Because while we're busy shooting at each other, China is going to do their thing.
Right. Yeah.
China doesn't think in 4-year cycles; they think in centuries or millennia. It's all about they are to be the hegemon. The place that everyone else brings their tribute to, and we can't allow that either. So we need a more elegant solution than a civil war. Just speaking as a soldier, we don't want to go there unless there is no alternative whatsoever. In which case, you do what you have to do is to die with honor. Right. But ideally, we can wake our people up. And that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
People like you and me, and people half or a third of our age, we got to reach them all. We got to mobilize them all. And I hope that all the young people listening to this will hear something in my voice other than just, oh, there's an aging boomer bitching about the situation, because that's not it. There is so much more to this. We can do this. We can do this, but we have to get off our asses and do some work and fight like hell with the means that are available to us.
Right.
That was kind of my rant for today, I think. Sorry.
You know, with the new generation now, they got places where they can go cry in school and all kinds of, they want to be pampered. Like, it's hard to, when we grew up, men were men, you know, men were men. And
they're still out there. They're still out there.
I mean, I see guys that are into UFC and bodybuilding, you know. That was another big slice of my life, was martial arts. You know, I got into that. I kickboxed, and I that was a big part of my life, and I really enjoyed it. Then I had in 1990, let's see, 2 or 3, I was building a cabin for some people up in with the construction crew, and up by Mount Rainier, and I was 30 feet up on a scaffold, and it got jerked out from under me, and I fell all the way down onto a plywood deck and snapped my leg in half, crushed my ankle and everything. So I still got my power foot, my right foot, but I got that other foot. You know, my sparring days, everything like that, they're over now. I still loved it. That was a big love of my life too, you know, martial arts.
Right.
And so, but and there's a thing I put up this morning on my. By the way, I you know, I don't know if everybody knows that you and I both got kicked off Facebook permanently. You know, so there's no going back. So I guess you're on what? You're on Gab or what?
I'm on Gab. I'm on VK, and I'm on MeWe, same as you.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
I what I can, you know.
Yeah, VK is my next venture into that. I tried to get in before, but they weren't accepting my password, and I just got frustrated. But I got to try it again. I got to get on there. I hear that's probably the best of them all, I guess, from what I hear. I don't know.
Well, it takes somebody 5 minutes to set up a MeWe account. Those are so easy. So people that want to take a look at the things you post, and you post some great stuff. You post some very inspiring stuff, and that's something I want all these listeners to hear, is that overall on MeWe, take you 5 minutes to set it up, and it's worth it just to see the stuff that Ron McVan posts. A lot of it is your own work, and you know, it's some of this stuff you've got laying around the house.
I got lots of healthy stuff.
It's very inspiring. I mean, that's you're always on the up. You're never putting out downers. You're always optimistic. You're always idealistic. You're always pushing forward, which is something I really admire about you, because it's really easy for people like out there, myself included, to get, you know, kind of black pills sometimes.
Yeah, it does. We have our days of depression. You know, you see, when you just see it all coming back on you through the media channels, and you think, geez, man, we don't even have a say in anything. You know, you just put up a video where you went down to Dallas to speak, and they only gave you 1 minute. I mean, 1 minute. That's like an insult.
Well, it's true. I got 1 minute to talk, and I'm glad you saw that video. I think it's interesting. And if for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's on Red Ice, and it's called The Battle of Dallas. And at least, well, 2 things really good came out. Yeah, I got 1 minute to speak, but I managed to tell people that I came all the way from California to be there to speak to them for 1 minute because I care. Right. And the other thing that came out of that was that I got to build bonds with really good Asa True type folks, and as well as political folks out there. I slept on people's floors. They bought me meals. They lots of ramen. Let me use his car and drive it around. You know, so So it's folk. It's folk, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. It was worth the trip. Just the whole gesture was good. Yeah.
I wanted to give them another gesture, but I can't show you that one here.
Okay. But,
actually, there are a couple of mine. But that would have not helped me communicate my mission, my message. So you got to adjust it to the audience. You really do. Can't go off and be a hothead. So unless there are situations where that works best. But propaganda.
I've been to the Alamo, Steve. I hear it's not what people think it is. Is that true? There's not much left of it down there.
Well, I think there's as much of it left as there has been at any time in recent history. I'm sure it's changed a lot since I was there. I want to make another trip back there. I want to make another trip to the Alamo, but also it's important to go to San Jacinto, which is mostly just an open field and a very tall monument. But that's where a few weeks after the Alamo, our guys, speaking as a tech, kicked major butt on Santa Ana and tons and tons of Mexicans.
Yeah.
And
the government didn't help on that, did they? The government didn't help in that, did they? Yeah. They asked for help from the government. They wouldn't give it, from what I understand. Yeah. But
I've got something I want to say to everybody here. We're running about my hour that I normally do. I'll call you back on in just a minute for final comments and stuff. I'll kind of wrap it up and see what Dave's up to behind the scenes there. But first, I want to tell everybody about this. Guys, all you people out there watching this, you know what this is. It's a drinking horn. It's a drinking horn. What you may or may not know is today is the 9th of the month, and this is Odin World Prayer Day. This was set up by a wonderful guy in Sweden. Those of you who haven't been kicked off of Facebook yet, you can find the Odin World Prayer Day group. And the whole idea is, it's not like highly orchestrated or anything. All you got to do is go out sometime today with your horn or with whatever devotional device you use. Pour it or do your little ritual. Offer your gift, your prayer, your sacrifice, your whatever you want to call it to that guy. And you will know that there are hundreds, if not thousands of people all around the world doing this same thing. Odin World Prayer Day. It's an awesome idea. I post about it, so some of you will have seen that. I always try to post about it and support it. I support it completely. This is where we harness the spiritual power. This is where we provide a sense of belonging, not just, like we would at a gathering, but like we would if we somehow could be telepathically in touch with all our kin around the planet. So Odin World Prayer Day. Please go out there, do this, and it's really a great thing. So there. I wanted to get that out to everybody before we wrap up. So in closing, Ron, what message would you like to leave for all our listeners out here?
Well, I would hope that they would take some time to. I wrote my books to help people get an understanding of their heritage. My life's been dedicated to it, and it wasn't done for, like you say. It's not done for money. If it was for money, I would just keep selling my paintings. It's just I really sincerely hope that people will give it a try. I mean, most the books have circulated pretty good so far, but it would be nice if they were out in the mainstream. It's a shame that we can only work within our own circles right now, but that's all. That's what I put my life behind this. I hope that it'll come back to where our people will gain something from it to help them take it further, take a step further. You know, we're just torch bearers. We pass the torch on, you know, and there's nothing like working with your own ethnic gods. There's just nothing, and you can slice it any way you want. You say, well, are they real? Are they not real? The archetypes. It doesn't matter. It's in our DNA. It's in our blood. It doesn't matter. There's no sense splitting infinitives about did the gods really exist or this. It doesn't matter. It's in our blood, and you got to go with that. You'll never find real satisfaction in some desert gods or some foreign gods that are not our own. It's got to be your own ethnic gods. You know? So, I mean, every time we have gatherings and stuff, it's a step forward, you know, because people talk to other people, and so we got to keep the kindred strong. We have to continually study. You know, it's the whole thing about Votan is about knowledge. You know, you got to get as much knowledge as you can, and just grow as a people. And I think, you know, there's not a whole lot. There should be more people doing this, but it might take some more world events to wake people up. I don't know what that's going to be. You know, maybe, who knows? I don't know. Maybe nature will do something, but the fight will never be over. You know, as long as we keep pushing forward. So I know you struggled all your life, Steve, as far with this, and you remember Yost. I mean, he got cut short at age 50. He was going to come out and visit me about in a week or two before he died, and I was really looking forward to that. And when I heard that he passed away, I was totally shocked. But he's another one I want to give him credit to, and I got to give credit to the Votans Folk Kindred and Reinhold that got us. That gave me a place. Reinhold was able to. We put our heads together and we created a lot of fantastic gatherings, and I hope to, before I get too old, where I can work together with a lot of everybody, as many kindreds as I can, if I can get to where I can travel around a little bit, you know, just come and work with people and help, you know, the best way I can. From my past experience, you have tremendous experience. I've seen you giving your rune workshops and all that. It's fantastic, Steve, what you've done. You know.
So are you capable of traveling at this point? I mean, physically, are you good enough?
Yeah, I mean, my health is getting a little bit better. I had a real bad few years there where my kidneys almost went out, and then I had prostate problems. I had to get a bit, half of my prostate cut out, and now I got this heart and this AFib. You know, as we hit I'll be 70 in a year, you know, so things, you know, your body just starts to give out a little bit, you know. But so far, I mean, right now it's more of a factor of I've got animals here. It's hard for me to just pull up and leave for 4 days or something like that, you know. It's just, so yeah, but it's in my mind to do that, you know, and certainly when anybody comes here, we'll do something together here, have a little gathering here at the house too. I hope you can come out here sometime, Steve, with Sheila.
Well, that's entirely possible. That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
That might happen.
Yeah.
But you know, I would really like to be able to get you down to the Hoff at Brownsville. You would really like it. You would be blown away. You would be a guest of honor. You know, we talked about that. And if you come down here, I will take you to Yost Turner's grave.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
I have been known to pour a horn there sometimes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So that he was quite a guy. I was cut short. I was just about to meet with him, finally physically meet with him, And I know he was driven like we are on this too, and so yeah, that would be fantastic. I would love that.
Yeah. Yost didn't die. He just got reassigned.
Right.
He got his orders.
Right.
Fig got my orders.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, all right. With that, let's tune in with producer Dave. Dave, what's going on back behind the scenes? Anything?
Oh, everything's good and clear. But what an incredible episode tonight! What a really incredible. This was really a gift for me to be able to produce this. And in 40 years, when I'm an old head and I'm, hopefully not still doing podcasts, and hopefully I'll do stuff. I'll be able to say that I produced this podcast. This was a really, really special episode. This is one of my top podcasts I've ever produced or been a part of. So thank you, both of you. I hope everybody that's listening realizes how special this is.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions you want to ask of Ron?
I don't know about a question. I told Mr. Ron this on the phone, but if you guys don't mind, I'd like to tell a little story about Mr. Ron.
Please do.
Yeah.
If it's okay with him.
Well, when I first started getting into, our folk ways and stuff like that, obviously Mr. Steve was my first introduction, and then Mr. Ron's works was actually my second introduction. And when I went on, I started reading about him, and I found about, Temple of Wotan. And, as he said before, it was, every copy I could find was like hundreds of dollars. And, as a young man, I just met my wife at the time. I didn't have that kind of money. So, Mr. Ron, I'm sorry. I got it off the internet. I found it on the internet because I couldn't find a copy to buy. I would have bought it, but I couldn't. So I got a copy. Yeah. But that really revolutionized the way that my worldview. It really changed the way that I saw everything. And thank you so much for writing that. And after I read that, I was pretty impressed. And, I'm really starting to get into it at this point. And I wrote like a little essay with like a poem and stuff. I actually found Mr. Ron on Facebook, and I sent it to him. Well, I guess like a year or so ago, I rediscovered this on one of my thumb drives, just like in the bowels of my house storage somewhere. The essay, there was like a little essay and like a little poem. It was garbage. It was like the worst things I ever wrote. Mr. Ron said, "Thank you so much, young kinsman, for sharing that with me. I can't wait for you to put together your own book of Blotar and to read that." And that was such a huge confidence boost for me, and I felt that was so special to hear an elder talk to me, just like some noob guy, just stranger on the internet, and say such positive things to me. So thank you, Mr. Ron, for all your work through all these years. Thank you so much for your kind words to me, and you guys that have dedicated your lives and pretty much started this whole thing. You guys and Miss Elsa Christensen, and there's so many wonderful minds that put this thing together. I just want to say, I promise both of you guys that us young guys that are coming up now, we're gonna pick up the torch and we're gonna give it hell, just like you guys did. I'm never gonna be as cool as Stephen McNallen and Ron McVan, but I'll try.
Don't forget A-Rod Mills too. He was another pioneer. He was the earlier pioneer, A-Rod Mills. Yeah.
He was the Australian guy, right?
Yeah. And I want to give credit to with I know we probably have Odinic Rite people listening, and I when I read Odinic Rite's handbook and everything, it was good. I liked it, but I thought it was on a spiral bound and everything. I thought, well, we need something that covers everything. I mean, it covers philosophy, every aspect of rites and rituals. But it was that book that stimulated me really to realize that I had to take things a little bit further. And I had the knowledge from I've been a voracious reader all my life, so I was able to put this all into one big, huge working book that for kindreds as much as I can. But there's that's been around. That book's been around for over 20 years, so it's probably time for someone could update it. Somebody could take it further. That'd be great. Because it really did make an impact. I hear that all the time. People tell me how it changed their life. So that just gives me chills when I hear that, because it's just really gratifying. But yeah. So hopefully, we just keep moving along. That there's been a lot of people here. We're probably missing some, Steve. I don't know, but I know. I mean, you can even go back to the 1800s. I mean, we're still drawing from that. So yeah, it's been in a constant state of evolving. But we have to push harder because the times are really closing in on us, around us, and it could mean our very survival. We could go extinct in a very short time. They say in 50 years we could be extinct. But yeah, that's. I appreciate. Steve, I've never really been on the show like this before, so it's all kind of new to me. So, but I'd like to do some more later now that we broke the ice a little bit here.
Well, I think that's a good idea. This is your first one ever?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope that a lot of the people who are listening out there who have their own podcasts are going to say, hey, this guy deserves to be heard, which is definitely true.
There's a lot to talk about. It's hard to condense everything into one little session here, but I feel comfortable being able to talk to you guys and talk to everybody out there. I hope something was gained out of this. I mean,
So people can find you on MeWe. Is there any other contact information you would like to provide to them? Do you have
for the books, if you go to Amazon, just put in your Google Ron McVan books, and the Amazon page will come up. And you click on the Amazon page, and that'll open up my list of books that I have through Amazon. And so that would be one thing. A lot of people have. I've talked to a lot of people. They said they just didn't know how to get to those books, because it's all online.
Right.
Right. I do have a quick question, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Ron, is Robert E. Howard the best fantasy author or the best fantasy author ever?
I've got books of. In fact, I just got this one. Here, can you see this book? Can you see this book? Can you guys see it?
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome.
So I get inspiration just more on just a more surreal. I like the whole Conan theme, and I've had an article out for a long time. There was a King Conan historically. There was a real king named Conan, but of course Robert Howard. It was his own private fantasy of how he perceived it, but he did his part in his own way. I mean, that first Conan movie, that's still I go back and watch that. I just love this. That sound score is still my favorite all time. I mean, that rivals Wagner to me.
Oh, Ron, I gotta interject something here, because it's such an interesting quote, coincidence, unquote, that Dave just brought that up. Mm-hmm. Because I've got a video that'll be coming out on Red Ice relatively soon. I hope to actually tape it in the next couple of days. And the title is tentatively something like Conan, Texas, and Me. Because I was born 50 miles from where Robert E. Howard wrote.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I've been to the house where he wrote. I even was able to go down to the archives and with gloves on and all that to handle the manuscripts, the originals. Dude, if Robert E. Howard had not prepared my heart and mind and soul and caught me at that teenage, hormone-driven boy time that I was at, I probably would have never picked up that Viking book that made all the difference.
Yep,
so, and I'm gonna wax mystical about Texas for just a moment. There's something about Texas. There if I may say so, I had a little bit to do with bringing back the exoteric aspects of the faith. And approximately the same time span, Edward Thorson was over in the Dallas area, and he was soon to be doing that sort of stuff. Of course, he and I weren't in contact till like the 70s or so.
Mm-hmm.
But and then you got Robert E. Howard. There's something about Texas. It's archetypal. It's Alamo. It's San Jacinto. It's wild men who just will not listen to reason.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I like Arnold's line. He goes, "When I die, I will go before Crom, and Crom will ask me if I know the riddle of steel, and if I do not know it, he will kick me out of Valhalla and laugh at me. That is the power of Crom, high on his mountain. Stronger than Arnold, stronger than Franco."
No, it's great stuff. Great stuff. Anybody who's not reading Robert E. Howard needs to go do it. Seriously.
Oh yeah, he's an inspiration. He's an inspiration. Yeah,
yeah.
And Frazetta, I've always been a fan of Frazetta. I reproduced a lot of his paintings to a T. And I sold them. I was selling them. People wanted them. They asked me, "Could you do that one of the polar bears pulling the chariot and all that stuff?" I said, "Sure." He was a great. Some of the best artists in the world are illustrators.
Frank Frazetta.
Yeah.
Frazetta stirred my soul, man.
Have you ever seen his the cartoon movie that he illustrated back in the 80s, Fire and Ice?
No.
It is cool. No. It is real cool.
You can find that.
It's I believe it's on YouTube. It's called Fire and Ice. It was I don't know all the detail. I'm pretty sure it was like hand drawn by Frank Frazetta. It is cool. It's all barbarians and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to wrap this up 20 minutes ago, but I've been having.
And then I brought up Conan.
Yeah,
Conan in Texas. Conan in Texas. Come on, man.
I'm all the nerves. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we had to do a wrap on it anyway, guys.
Okay.
Ron, this has been awesome. I hope I would certainly like to have you on another time. And I hope that other podcasters that are watching this understand that you are a genuine resource. You are one of the OGs, original Gothies, not original gangsters. And that you have words of wisdom to give us. And more than just words of wisdom, you've got an attitude. You've got the attitude that we need to inculcate in the others around us. And thank you very much for being my guest here tonight.
I really appreciate it. It's been a joy, Steve.
Okay.
Always good to see you. All right. Thank you.
All right, Dave, I'll just sign off right now. Folks, that's all for tonight. Keep your powder dry, your cupboards full, your spouse happy, your kids close at hand. Keep your data out of the hands of the deep state, and love life in Midgard because it is a wondrous gift. Good night, everybody.